I work the graveyard shift at a small, often nearly empty hotel just off the highway. The hours are brutal, but aside from that, it's a pretty easy gig. I clock in, settle into the back office, and binge-watch movies or shows on my laptop. The Wi-Fi back there is terrible, but it's a spot where I can stay out of sight from guests and relax, so I come prepared. Every now and then, I glance at the CCTV monitor mounted on the wall in front of my desk. Mostly, it's just to check if anyone's at the front desk needing assistance, or to see when my coworkers show up in the morning, so I can brush the chip crumbs off my shirt and pretend I wasn't dozing off moments before they arrived. The cameras cover several areas of the hotel. Each stairwell, multiple angles of the parking lot, every exit door, the kitchen laundry room, the lobby, and a few other spots. There's even a camera in the gym, though no one ever uses it. The hotel isn't exactly known for its cleanliness or working facilities. The pool has been closed for months, and the gym has one functional treadmill, a couple of weights, and maybe a pull-up bar. I've been working here for a few months, and I don't think I've ever stepped foot inside it. Anyway, at around 2 a.m., 2 hours into my shift, I look up from my show to check the cameras and notice the light in the gym is on. The grainy footage shows a man, average-looking, maybe on the older and heavier side, running on the lone working treadmill. I don't remember checking him in, but I'm not usually the one who handles that. Most guests arrive before my shift anyway. Whatever I thought, who am I to judge? He's doing more exercise than I ever do. I go back to my show, getting up once to grab another bag of chips from the concession area. When I return, I check the time, 2:32 a.m. My one actual task of the night starts at 3 a.m. when I run the nightly audit on the computers, so I need to start keeping better track of time around then. I glance at the cameras again, and I'm surprised to see the man is still running on the treadmill. Well, probably not still. He must have taken a break to do other exercises and returned to running, right? Or maybe he's been running this whole time. I don't know much about fitness. Even through the poor video quality, I can see he's sweating heavily. His shirt is noticeably darker, and his thinning hair is slicked back. At the time, all I think is good for him, I guess. Maybe this older, heavier guy should be inspiring me to get in shape. I finish another episode before getting up to start the audit process, which usually takes a few minutes. Before leaving the office, I check the cameras again because I hate being surprised by a guest waiting at the desk whenever I head out. My eyes immediately lock onto the treadmill guy. Not just because he's still running, which is odd enough. It's been almost an hour of what looks like non-stop running at a pretty brisk pace for someone like him, but because this time he's staring straight at the camera in the corner of the gym. I freeze. We lock eyes, though I know he can't actually see me. His expression is blank, slack, and utterly exhausted. And yet, he keeps running, his arms no longer swinging with his stride, but hanging limply at his sides. I stand there for what feels like an eternity, confused and creeped out by what I'm seeing. Just as I decide to write him off as some weirdo and turn away to do my job, he smiles at the camera. It's a creepy, wide grin that doesn't reach his eyes, and the worst part is his tongue. It flops out of his mouth limply, as if the only thing keeping it in was his closed lips. It bounces around like he has no control over it, moving in rhythm with his jog. It's also way too long. Like, shouldn't a normal tongue stay in your mouth if it's completely relaxed? Needless to say, this guy freaks me out. I don't know how long he'd been staring at the camera or why he decided to smile just as I noticed him. Obviously, it was just bad timing, or maybe he was messing with whoever might be watching the cameras at that exact moment. But deep down, I feel like I'm being watched. It's almost 3 a.m., and if I don't finish the audit by 3:15, I'll get written up and probably yelled at by my boss about how it's literally the only thing I have to do all night. As uneasy as this guy makes me, I don't want to take my eyes off him, but I don't know why. Still, I swallow my nerves, tear my gaze away from the screen, and hurry to the front desk to knock out the audit as quickly as possible. Let me quickly describe the layout. The back office is around the corner from the front desk. Down the hallway, past the elevators, the lobby where we serve breakfast, the pool, and the laundry room is the gym. It's not the most well-designed hotel, and the twists and turns leading to the gym make giving verbal directions to guests a pain. That also means that when I step out to the front desk, I can't see the gym directly. On one hand, I'm relieved to be far from the weirdo. On the other, I'm even more anxious now that he's out of my sight. I boot up the ancient computer and start printing reports, filing them in various folders with one hand while signing what needs to be signed with the other. I'm sure I messed some things up, but my priority is finishing quickly so I can get back to the office. Out here, I feel exposed. All I can see is the lobby, and the sound of pop radio blaring way too loud drowns out any other noise. Every second I spend out there, about 10 minutes, I feel like something terrible is about to happen. I need to bring some of these reports back to the office while the audit process runs on the computers. Normally, I wait until the end to minimize trips, but as soon as the process starts, I race back to the office to check the cameras again, just to confirm he's still doing the same thing. The first thing I notice when I return is that the light in the gym is off. I didn't hear the heavy gym door open or close from the front desk, but maybe the music drowned it out. I scan the other displays, trying to spot him on his way back to his room, in the stairwell, the elevators, or wherever, just to ease my mind. At first, I don't see him anywhere on the cameras, until my eyes flick back to the gym display. It's subtle, but the dim light on the treadmill indicating it's in use still seems to be on. Maybe he forgot to turn it off when he left, and then I see him. He's still in there, still running. I just hadn't noticed him at first in the dark. His body is barely illuminated by the treadmill, but that's not why I spotted him. His eyes are two tiny pinpricks of light reflecting off the display, still staring directly at me. I choke back a gasp when I see that. Why did the lights turn off while he was still in there? They're motion activated. Maybe if he stood perfectly still, they'd eventually shut off, but there he is, still running at the same pace. He's clearly exhausted, his whole body slumped forward as his arms swing loosely. But his legs keep moving at the same speed as when I first noticed him an hour ago. His head is tilted at an unnatural angle to keep staring at me. In the back of my mind, I consider that maybe this man needs help, some sort of mental health issue that's making him keep running, but my fear keeps me glued to the spot, unable to break eye contact. I still have the audit to finish, but there's no way I'm taking my eyes off him again. What the fuck? I mutter under my breath. As the last word leaves my mouth, he suddenly stops running and falls off the treadmill, landing head first on the tile floor. The cameras don't record sound, but I swear I hear a crack. In my shock, it takes too long to react as the lights come back on and he stands up with his neck clearly broken, his head dangling limply backward. As soon as he stands, he bolts out of the room, passing the laundry camera, the pool, and making it halfway through the lobby before I snap out of my paralysis and sprint to slam the office door shut, locking it behind me. A slam against the door shakes the office 2 seconds after I close it. Then another, and another, like he's using his body as a battering ram. I glance back at the cameras, but none point directly at the back office entrance. The only thing I can see is the trail of blood and what looks like feces stretching from the gym to the lobby. The entire room shakes with the force of this thing slamming itself against the door, and every call I try to make to the police fails repeatedly. The door is heavy, but I don't trust it to hold for long if he keeps going at this rate. I keep looking back and forth between the door and the cameras, selfishly hoping a guest will notice the commotion and draw this thing's attention away from me. I don't know what happened to them if they did, but at the moment, I'm only focused on escaping the hotel. After a few minutes, 3 to be exact, the banging stops. It takes me a second to realize, but once I do, my eyes dart to the monitor. He's definitely still there, since there are no bloody footprints leading away from the back office. I wish I could forget how long I stood there, staring at the screen and willing it to show this thing walk away. But the display on the bottom right of the monitor shows each agonizing minute. That's how I know exactly when another guest starts heading down to the lobby. At 6:28 a.m., I notice movement on the camera pointed at the 3rd floor elevator. A young man, dressed in workout clothes, carrying a gym towel. My heart sinks, and I start thinking of ways to warn him or somehow prevent this thing from doing whatever it's planning. I could have pulled the fire alarm. I could have grabbed a chair or something to use as a weapon and confronted it. Hell, I could have at least stopped watching. But I do none of those things. I watch as the man enters the elevator on the 3rd floor and descends to the lobby. The second those elevator doors open, the creature that had been slamming itself against my office door for the past 3 hours and 18 minutes makes its move. With a speed I can barely follow across multiple camera displays, Its mangled body sprints on perfectly functioning legs toward the guest, slamming into walls and leaving bloody imprints as it goes. The guest steps 1 foot out of the elevator before this thing tackles him back inside. I only see a spray of blood hit the opposite wall as the elevator doors slowly close again. This is my chance to flee the hotel and never look back, but once again, I find myself frozen in fear. I can't tear my eyes away from the monitor, so I watch as the elevator doors slowly open once more. The guest walks out just as he had walked in. He has the same cheerful smile on his face, and I watch as he strolls past the front desk, the lobby, the pool, and the laundry room, all the way to the gym. I'm out the door and on my way to never returning before I can see him enter. I'm riding this in my car a few miles away from the hotel because I couldn't bear to go home yet, but I figured I should document my experience in case anyone else encounters this. I know that man is still running on the treadmill right now, and my coworkers, or whoever else comes into the hotel next, will have to deal with what I went through all over again. But I can't bring myself to care. I even feel too claustrophobic to stay inside my car after spending so long in the back office. My legs are still shaking, and the only thing I want to do right now is run, as fast and as far away as I can.